Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz for UFC 266. But I definitely will say, I think out of these guys who have improved a lot, I think Diaz has tremendously good cardio, great boxing, tremendously good jiu-jitsu. Robbie Lawler is a decent wrestler with some heavy-handed strikes. But the problem is with Robbie Lawler, he likes to brawl and just wing his punches. And Diaz is more technical and just overall, I think, a better striker, a better fighter. Looks like the time off for Nick Diaz has benefited him in a good way. He looks in really good spirits, really good shape, and he's actually talking about going out there and being more sportsmanlike and more friendly. And I definitely think that's a big difference compared to what he was in his previous fights with Anderson Silva. I definitely think he has extreme heart. The Diaz brothers can take a punch. They have extreme heart. And I definitely think Diaz will never get a title shot. I honestly think his days as a title contender will be gone. He's just a guy that's going to go out there and put on exciting fights for the fans. And I don't want to see this be a one-off fight, like this fight happens and he doesn't fight for another 5 or 6 years, because he's at the end of his career pretty much. He's in his late 30s, and when you're competing in your late 30s, you don't have much fighting left, right? So I believe this is a good fight for him to come back to, and a good fight for him to actually fight, because like I said, Robbie Lawler is a beast, right? We all know that Robbie Lawler is a guy that can knock you out at any point in the fight. He has extreme heart. He can take a punch. Diaz has better ground game. Like, he's not a good wrestler, Diaz, but he has great grappling, so he could take it to the ground and grapple the hell out of Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler, like I said, is a very old school kind of fighter with the mentality of brawl for all. He's basically a brawler with some wrestling, but he never really uses his wrestling all that much. And I don't think he wants to use his wrestling in this competition, because if he does, Diaz could slap on a triangle, because the Diaz are real nasty with those triangles. That's what they're really known for. Nick and Nate are really nasty with the triangle chokes. But when it comes to the actual fight itself, like I said, will I think it will go more than one round? Absolutely. I think it might even go to the judges' scoring card. But I think if both of these guys come in very hungry and at the top of their game, it's going to be a very tough fight for both of them. I think the cardio-wise will always go to Diaz, because Diaz always does those triathlons and rides his bike like 10 miles a day, every day. And he does some weird, crazy stuff that other mixed martial artists ain't doing. They're not riding 10 miles, 12 miles, 13 miles one way everywhere they go, right? But Nick Diaz looks in phenomenal shape. He looks in the best shape of his life. And I think when Diaz is preparing for a fight and he's actually in the fight and actually has his mental game right, he's going to be in there to hurt Robbie Lawler. I'm not saying Robbie Lawler doesn't have a chance, because Robbie Lawler lost the first time at UFC 243? But the problem is, a lot of times when fighters win the first time, they take it as, well, I'm just going to beat him again. So this could be a factor where Robbie Lawler comes in there and swings for the fences and knocks his ass out, because Robbie Lawler has that extreme knockout power, and Robbie Lawler has improved since the last time. He's more vicious, more violent, and more intense than the first fight. But overall, I would definitely say I'm going for Nick Diaz, because I'm a Diaz fan. I'm not saying Robbie Lawler is not a badass fighter in his own right, but I would say if you're going to put some money on it, I would go for Nick Diaz. I think Nick Diaz is going to trash talk. He's going to put his hands in the air and whatnot. But Robbie Lawler is going to be expecting that. So it's not going to be like, what's he doing? Because back in UFC 241 or 243, whatever it was, he wasn't known for the guy with his arms in the air talking trash coming forward swinging punches, but Diaz throws hundreds and hundreds of punches with very low power. Robbie throws heavy handed strikes to knock his opponents out with heavy power, but Robbie Lawler on the other hand gasses out in the later rounds because he's throwing so much power into his punches, and somebody like Diaz throws pitter patter punches. So throughout the fight, he's not going to be the guy that I think is going to gas out. There's no way. Like I said, I don't believe there's any way whatsoever that you're going to have Diaz gas out. That's not an option for Diaz. His cardio is on like a whole nother game, but he hasn't fought since the Anderson Silva fight, which was way before. I think it was either a little bit before UFC 200, or it was a little bit after UFC 200. So you're talking, like I said, 2013, 2014, and he hasn't competed since then. I mean, that has to play in there as well, because you got what they call ring rust. And when you have ring rust, that's a real thing. Dana White says it's a real thing. Dominic Cruz says it's not a real thing because you're always training in your facility. You're always in your training facility, training all the time. And when you're always on your A game, you don't really have to worry about that because you're always training. But there's a difference between training in your training facility and then competing under the bright lights. But Diaz has done it so much, I don't think he's going to have a problem. And you got to look at it this way. Robbie Lawler hasn't fought in a while either. So with this being said, I think it's going to be a very, very extremely tough fight for both of these gentlemen. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think it's a fight that everybody needs to tune in for, because we all know when Diaz shows up to fight, he shows up to fight. It's always controversy. It's always straight in your face. The hardcores love him. The casual loves him. I think the reason everybody loves him, and I think the reason I love him, he's a real ass dude. He says he doesn't like to talk in front of the camera. He doesn't like to go to press conferences, which I understand. I wouldn't want to be that guy that talks in front of the camera either. He's just a guy who wants to show up and beat someone's ass. That's all he wants to do. He wants to compete, and that's it. He doesn't want to sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to knock his ass out, yes. He doesn't want to talk. That's the thing. Diaz brothers are not talkers. I think Nate is more comfortable than Nick. Nick just seems like he's a more cool around his friends, but with the media and people he doesn't know, he's kind of that shy guy who stands in the corner and observes the situation before he's comfortable. And that's how I am. I'm a guy that would talk to you guys because I love talking to you guys, but I might be a guy at like a party or something. I'm over off in the corner hanging out with just the people I know and not socializing with everybody else because I'm not as comfortable like that. And Diaz has always been that way. But when it comes to the total package, I think Robbie Lawler has better kicks, more powerful shots. He has better wrestling. He's more vicious in the first round than he is in the later rounds. And Diaz has heart, tremendously good jiu-jitsu, some of the best boxing you've ever seen in your life when it comes to mixed martial artists. And he has cardio for days. And that's one thing that Robbie doesn't have. Robbie has cardio, but it's not going to be as much cardio as this. And if Robbie Lawler comes out like he did against Ben, is it going to be the same thing where he brutalizes Nick Diaz? Like he just comes out and just murders him? I don't think so. I think Diaz is going to stay out on the outside and throw some punches and gather his distance. I don't think Diaz is going to come in like a lot of people think he's going to come in and throwing wild, crazy punches. That's what I think Robbie might do, is come forward. But Diaz, like I said, Nick has a lot of traditional boxing skills, and he throws more boxing combinations than most mixed martial artists. That's the truth. That's why I think if somebody like a Jake Paul won the fight, like a Nick or Nate Diaz, they would get lit up, because even though they're smaller guys, they have their traditional boxing style. And they're more traditional than a average boxer, or traditional more than an average MMA guy, because Robbie Lawler is more, like I said, that brawl for all type of guy, because he grew up in that era. He started in the mixed martial arts era where it's more brawling and not as technical striking. He has decent striking, but it's not technically sound like Nick or Nate Diaz. But that's just my take. I'm not saying to bet on this fight. I'm not saying not to bet. I'm not saying make your money, baby. But I am saying if you're going to watch this fight, it's going to be fireworks. I just think Diaz is very hungry. He hasn't fought in 5 years. And I think he's ready to prove to the world that he's back. Maybe he'll get a title shot. Maybe he'll have a couple fights. But I want to see Nick Diaz actually compete more than once. That's the problem with Diaz brothers. They'll fight like today at UFC 266 and not fight until like UFC 300. And it's like they're so far in between their fights that there's no avenue for them to ever get a title shot, because yes, they're have a big draw, a big name, but you can't put them in a title fight when they haven't fought anybody besides one guy in 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, whatever it's been. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, because like I said, this is going to be a hell of a fight. They're both training at good training camps. You got Cesar Gracie now training with Nick Diaz again, and he said, I'm a black belt. That was my stomping grounds. I'm back with Cesar Gracie. And Cesar Gracie's like the guy, like basically like his mentor, his father, his longtime friend, his longtime coach. And he understands Diaz when a lot of people who tune in to see Diaz don't understand the fascination with this guy. They always say, like, maybe he's a weird guy, maybe he's a little strange because of his actions, because he doesn't like talking in front of the camera. But if you really know Nick Diaz, then you know who he is as a person, and not like this thug character that he kind of puts on with the shit talking and the middle fingers to the world. But Cesar Gracie could calm him down, and Nick Diaz is saying, I like to be in the training facility training these young kids. I enjoy that. And a lot of people don't realize that he trains a lot of people jiu-jitsu. That's how good his skills are. He's very, I would say, underrated as a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy when it comes to mixed martial arts. Most people nowadays think of a Nick or Nate Diaz as that guy who's going to go in there and swing for the fences. They might not have the best leg kicks or body kicks or spinning roundhouse kicks, but they have heart, they have great boxing, and they have that jiu-jitsu. If it gets to the ground, they're tapping your ass out. But Robbie Lawler, on the other hand, he's coming forward every minute of that fight, swinging with every intentions to knock his opponent's ass out. Look what he did to Johnny Hendricks, to Carlos Condit. Look what he did to just everybody. He's murdered a lot of people since he's been back in the UFC. He just like murder these people, and he has like a vicious violence in him. You can see it when he's just beating his opponents up. Like, he's just hurting these people, and he has a rage and intensity. I don't know if he has that anymore, but we'll see what happens at UFC 266. But my prediction is Stockton 209s for the win, baby. Let me know what you guys think.
Yeah!